Rush Limbaugh called her brilliant, and Fox and Friends declared her movie a victory for capitalism.
I'm challenging the moral code of altruism, the precept that man's moral duty is to live for others.
Ayn Rand, more than anyone else, did a fantastic job of explaining the morality of capitalism.
I am a big fan of Ayn Rand and read all of her novels.
Now let me encourage any of you who have not read Atlas Shrugged to go tomorrow, buy Atlas Shrugged and read it.
You don't go for altruism and charity and do good and liberal and...
No. I want to help people. I want to do good for other people. What's so bad about that? Why can't I think of it as a moral virtue? I mean, can't I take some vows for myself for doing all these good things?
Because that would be cannibalism. That's immoral, according to my morality. Because look at the state of the world today.
Yeah.
And you cannot be harsh enough on those who created it. And those who created it are the philosophers of altruism.
I'm still not quite sure why you're so harsh on those who would sacrifice for other people.
Just look at it. Because they don't hesitate to sacrifice whole nations. Look at Russia. Communism is based on altruism. Look at Nazi Germany. The Nazis were more explicit than even the Russians in preaching self-sacrifice and altruism, and self-sacrifice for the state, for the folk, the people. Every dictatorship is based on altruism.
Do you object to the democratic process?
I object to the idea that people have the right to vote on everything.
Both the communists who are on the left, they say, you know, these are communists, and the Nazis are on the right. That's what people say. But they both subscribe to one philosophy.
I do not think that they have any right to live in a country merely because they were born here and acted and lived like savages.
And she wrote, "The word we is as lime poured over men, which sets and hardens to stone and crushes all beneath it. And that which is white and that which is black are lost equally in the gray of it all. By the weak, which the weak steal the might of the strong, by which the fools steal the wisdom of the sages." What is it? If all of the creatures, even the botched and impotent, are my masters, what is my life if I am but to bow, to agree, and to obey? But I'm done with this creed of corruption. I am done with the monster of we, the word of serfdom, of plunder, of misery, of falsehood, and shame. Amen.
It is precisely these trends which are bringing the world to disaster, because we are now moving towards complete collectivism or socialism, a system under which everybody is enslaved to everybody. And we are moving that way only because of our altruist morality.
My great friend, the late Bill Buckley, one of his greatest contributions to modern conservatism was his effort to purge it of cranks and crypto-cultists. And for Buckley, Ayn Rand and her followers certainly fit that description.
Atlas Shrugged, which is the biggest selling novel in the history of the world, by the way.
Right?
Yeah, extraordinary. And it is, what it is 1,000 words of 1,000 pages of ideological fabulism.
Yeah.
I had to flog myself to read it. The influence she had, you wouldn't believe. I published a review of her book by Whittaker Chambers.
And so what did Whittaker Chambers say about her book?
Well, it was a devastating review.
So what did Whittaker say about it?
Well, he might have taken a liberty. He said that he had never in his entire life as a reader of books run across any book in which the absence of goodness was so marked.
Yeah.
And he said, I can just see where this might end, saying, go to the gas chamber, go. He did it after such tight reasoning to show that that her scorn for charity, for altruism, was such as to build up an unfeeling system.
Chambers knew, however, that Ayn Rand's offense went far beyond a bad novelist. The real problem was with the worldview those novels and Rand's other writings sought to inculcate in her readers. Her novels were tracks for what Chambers called a forthright philosophic materialism. This materialism which places man at the center of a godless world, a world in which self-satisfaction becomes the moral purpose of his life. Look, folks, don't be fooled by Rand's phony conservatism or by her followers that claim to be true conservatives. Her philosophy of life, called objectivism, is nothing more than the idolatry of self and selfishness. That's the antithesis of Christianity. Like I've told you many times, I'm a conservative, and as a conservative, I believe the sound view of life rests on revealed truth and the wisdom of our forebears, things Rand despised. One thing is for certain, though surely unintended, today's followers of objectivism are undermining the gospel.
Her philosophy of objectivism says that one is not permitted to do things for other people out of some sense of moral obligation. Ayn Rand, she is probably the godmother of the sort of modern libertarian movement.
Ayn Rand became famous for her philosophy of objectivism, which is a nice way of saying being a selfish asshole.
Why is it good to want others to be happy? You can make others happy when and if those others mean something to you selfishly.
Rand illustrated her beliefs in novels like Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, stories of rapey heroes complaining about how no one appreciates their true genius.
My work done my way. Nothing else matters to me.
And if that reminds you of anyone, it's probably someone like this, like Donald Trump.
Part of the beauty of me is that I'm very rich.
And Rand's influence extends even further.
Ayn Rand, more than anyone else, did a fantastic job of explaining the morality of capitalism.
I am a big fan of Ayn Rand. I've read all of her novels.
Now let me encourage any of you who have not read Atlas Shrugged to go tomorrow, buy Atlas Shrugged and read it.
However, Ayn Rand is an unlikely hero for conservatives because she was also pro-choice.
A man who claims to defend rights and objects to the right to have abortion, that's no defender of rights.
And anti-God.
I am against God for the reason that I don't want to destroy reason.
Why would conservatives hold up as their idol someone who says things like that? Especially when there are so many other advocates for selfishness they could choose. Basically anyone on Bravo.
I will kill you.
She talked about how much she admired William Edward Hickman. And she, in fact, might have based her hero, John Galt, in Atlas Shrugged on him. So who is William Edward Hickman? Well, back in 1927, he was a guy that was discovered to be a serial killer who killed a 12-year-old girl and dismembered her. This is what she wrote about him in her diaries. Other people do not exist for him, and he does not see why they should. He has no regard whatsoever for all that society holds sacred, and with a consciousness all his own, he has the true innate psychology of a Superman. He can never realize and feel other people. And look at what she says. This serial killer who dismembered a 12-year-old girl, he's a Superman because no one else matters to him.
Look, folks, don't be fooled by Rand's phony conservatism or by her followers that claim to be true conservatives. Her philosophy of life, called objectivism, is nothing more than the idolatry of self and selfishness.
Her redeemer is called John Galt, who is rejected by the establishment, who is persecuted, who chooses a bride from among his followers, who is eventually tortured. It's a remarkably similar parallel to the gospel story. It's a false gospel. John Galt, who she's looking for, the book begins with the question, who is John Galt? She's looking for Jesus Christ, but she rejects all of the fundamental principles of Christianity, such as human solidarity, even a clear sense of human dignity, even though she believes in human rights. And she converts the notion of the uniqueness of the person, of the human person that we find at the heart of Christianity, that God would come even if you were the only one in need of redemption, she converts that into a radical individualism. I think that it is manifestly apparent, if for no other reason, than Ayn Rand's, if I may call it evangelical atheism, is in complete opposition to any form of Orthodox Christianity.